Great job, everybody. I think we've gone so far. We've gotten our R and R Studio installed. We've gone through the configuration. We've been able to create a project to get organized with working in R Studio. Now, let's get started with writing some R codes. We've gotten in touch with, kind of in contact with some R syntax, like it's simple addition operation. So I'm going to go ahead and get into more of this. Remember, when you see a line of code starting with the hashtag, that is a comment. It's non-executable. It's just there to add meaning to your code because it's only meaningful to the computer, that's your code, but sometimes it might not be meaningful to the ordinary man that is looking at it. So adding comments to your code goes a long way to make your code useful to another person or your teammate. So now the next thing we want to do is that let's do another addition operation. Maybe I want to add more numbers. So 3 plus 4 plus 5. This is a line of code. If I want to get this executed, I need to go use this button run. So if I click on this, I would have the execution shown in the console pane. So this is the result of adding 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay? So another shortcut to using the run button is to press down your control key and enter key at the same time, the control and enter key at the same time while your cursor is on the line, on the code line. So in this instance, we're on line 8. So if I'm here now, I can just type it, press down the control key and the enter key at the same time. So this will run my code and moves to the next line, maybe a comment or a code. So I'm not going to the next line now. So the next thing that I want to show you is the subtraction. So maybe 4 minus 3 minus 6. So same thing, control enter, and I get the value here in the console minus 5. So that's for subtraction. Now we can also do the same thing. You can try it on your own. It's just basic arithmetic operation. So 4 times multiplied by maybe 5 or 6, control enter, and I get the result. So that is that. So let's go for addition this time around. So 30, maybe 32 divided by, okay, sorry. So divided by 3. So we get a decimal there. So 10.6667. 667, that's, we have the value there. Okay. So that is for addition. So we can also, we have some other arithmetic operations, but R is as simple as what you can see on the screen now. You don't have to be scared of code. Coding is not always difficult. It's just for you to have that positive mindset that, okay, I can do this. The I can do attitude. Okay, that is for arithmetic operation. Now let's go into something much more interesting. We want to look at, excuse me, we want to look at data types and structures in R. When we're talking about data types and structures in R, we're looking at beyond just typing stuff like this. I could have maybe typed in quotes, my name is maybe Belkiso. Okay. So if I run this, it's a text, is just a bunch of um characters or alphabets with space joined together to give meaning like a sentence. Okay. So here we're looking at something, a string in R. So for the other code that I've run, I've used numeric values. So we'll go into more details later, but let's look at the structures first. When we want to look at the basics of the basics, we're talking about vectors. So if you want to create a vector, it's as simple as using something we call a function. A function is a C function, but its full name is like a combination function. So we're combining different values of the same type. Okay. or using values of the same type. A vector would only take values of the same type. So here I want to use numeric values, say 1, 3, 6, and so on and so forth. Let's say 7. So this is going to be a single object that we can have and we can work together. We can work with in R. So before we go too far, let me bring in something we call a way of saving our data. So we can save our values or objects that we're working with in R as variables. Okay, it can be in different, it can be of different types, it can be of different structures. Okay, just know that we are just getting familiar with R. We don't want R to scare us. There's nothing scary about R. So for me to have this value here saved within my environment that I can now use later, I need to give it a name. It's more or less like you're in a class, you have other students in the same class, but you can't relate with them except you. First of all, you need to know their name or have something to describe them. So this is what we're referring to as variables. It's like a container with a name or an object with a name. So here, all you just say that's my vector. You can give it a name like this, my vector. Then we assign whatever we want to put in that container. In this instance, I want to keep this vector into this variable name. If I just put in anything like this, let's say I drop this and I select this name, I'm going to get an error. And this is what you see. This is an error. And it's saying that the object, my vector, not found because nothing has been saved there. It's not been initialized. Nothing is inside of it. So it can't be available for use in R or in R Studio. So, but if I have this assignment operator, you can either use an equal sign or the assignment operator, which can, that the other assignment operator that I used earlier, that is this. All you need to do to get that back is Alt, use the Alt key and the minus sign. So if I use the two together, click both buttons, Alt dash, you'll get the assignment operator. And with the cursor anywhere on that line 20, you can always press down the Control Enter and we'll have this run without getting any error. And if you look at the environment pane, you can see now we have a value that is recognized as my vector in the environment. So that means I can decide to say my underscore vector, and you can see the pop-up is coming already. That means R Studio has something in your environment that is saved for you. And if I put the cursor here, press down my Control Enter key, it's going to display the values inside that object for me. Okay, that is 1, 3, 6, 5, 7. So I can do some, maybe execute some mathematical operation there, multiply each element in this vector by 3. So, and I'll get this. So it's going to be 3, 9, 18, 15, and 21. So that's just that. So it's as easy as that. So now I have a vector created now. The next structure that we might want to look at is a list. Okay, a list can contain elements of different types. So when we're talking about elements of different types, we're talking about numeric values. There's numbers. We can also have texts, maybe characters within the same list, a single list. Okay. So I can say my list assignment operator now. So you use the function. I'll explain functions later. So you use the function list. A function is a bunch of executable codes, R codes, that will help you to achieve one task. Okay? It's going to allow you to achieve one task just by creating that function, give it a name, And also, in some instances, you would need to have some arguments or some values that will allow that function to work. So we'll deal with functions later. So this is the function that we're going to use. I can start with a numeric value like 1. I can bring in a text, apple. So I can bring in another thing, maybe a Boolean structure. For those who are familiar with other programming language, is it true or false? So I can also bring in a decimal, maybe 2.34. Okay, all this will go well, and I will have my list inside the environment. Now it's a data object because we have different and different what? Different object data types inside of this. I can also have even pushing a vector in it, and it will still go. So it can still take all this value. Okay. So that is a list. We'll go more in depth into my list in the live class on Saturday. So this is a list now. So let's look at another one. That is the matrix. Matrix is another type of object that would be a two-dimensional array where each element has the same type. Each element has the same type. So a basic example is going to be my matrix, the assignment operator, equal sign, whichever one is convenient for you, but try and stick with the assignment operator by pressing down the Alt dash key together. So like we did with list, we use another function that is named matrix. All these are available in base R function. Okay. So what you just need to do is we give it a vector. Okay. Um, a vector can be created in different ways. So we can have a range like 1, 2, colon 9. So this is going to give us a vector between 1 and 9. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So it's more like creating, this is just like creating something like this. C, the combination function, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then 9. So this is the long cut, so long form of creating that short information that we did. That's the range. So if I run this, you see the same output, but different syntax. So you will be familiar with this. So let's just get used to that. So I'm going to use this simple one, 1 to 9. Okay, then that will be our data. Okay, so that's our data. Then now the next thing is that we need to tell this function the number of rows because it's two-dimensional object now. So we can say we want 3 rows. Then how many columns? N call. Then we want 3 columns as well. So basically, these are simple as creating the matrix. And if I call the name my matrix, so you see it's not just a single dimensional object, but it's multi-dimensional object with a row name. The column names are there, and we have 3 columns and 3 rows. So that's for the matrix. So the last data structure that we're going to be looking at is a data frame. So I can create my data frame just the same way we're going to use another function. So my data frame, okay? But remember, whenever you want to give a variable name or an object name, make it a name that is understanding or meaningful to humans, even to code. Okay, so the function we're going to use here is data.frame. So we're going to use this to create our object that is a data frame structure. So it's also a table-like structure, where each column can contain different types of data. It's similar to a spreadsheet. So when you're looking at a spreadsheet, just know that you're looking at something in the form of a data frame in R. So when we move on to importing data, you will see that it's just going to be the same thing. Whatever we bring from Excel sheet is going to be in form of a data frame. So we're going to get there soon. So now I want to create a data frame. So in this instance, we need to give each column a name. So it's very simple. So I can bring down the function by just clicking enter. Let me Control Z. So if I press the enter button, so I'll start here on line 31, then just press, maybe I want to create a data frame for students or maybe respondents to my survey. So let's make it name and I'll give it equal to, I'll have the combination function to help me do that. So I can say John, Aisha, Ron. Okay, these are the people that I'm looking at. So I want to add another column. So I want to add their age. Okay, so their age is going to still use the C function. So maybe 23, maybe 45. Okay, so we wouldn't want to go beyond that because we're going to get an error because we have only 3 names. So don't let us do something that will get us into trouble. So now let's see. The colors, let's say the colors they like is going to be what? We have a vector again. So I'll say, sorry, blue, um, green, and then red. Okay? So those are the colors that they prefer from their response. So I will just put my cursor anywhere, just control enter, and I'll have that object displayed here. Like I said, it's like your spreadsheet. So if I click on any of the objects here, I'm clicking on the data frame, you'll see just something close to that. So you can see it's just like what you see in an Excel sheet or Google sheet. So the name of the column is there, the age, and that's the color. So we have 3 rows here. John is age 23 and loves blue color. Aisha loves green and she's 23 as well. Dawn is 45 and she loves red color. So that is that. So it's as simple as that. Now you know how to create data structures and you're now familiar with data types, some of the data types, and you can differentiate between the structures basically. So this is where we're going to end this video. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.